I've been learning and experimenting with some assessment practices, and in particular looking at how to do standards-based grading sorts of practices in a school and a school district that really isn't set up for that. So I'm required to report a letter grade with a percentage for each one of my students, but I think that some of the practices of standards-based grading are, well, they're better for learning. So I wanted to integrate those. When I've shared this with people, some of the things that they've been most interested in have been, how do you handle that in our gradebook program, which is the PowerSchool or PowerTeacher gradebook. So I thought I'd show a few of the things that I do in PowerTeacher, along with some of these changes that I've made for more assessment, for assessments that are based strictly on the standards or the learning goals. One thing that you'll notice here is each one of these assignments is not really an assignment. These are learning goals, standards, learning targets, objectives, whatever you're calling them and whatever level you're using here. And so each one of these is not going to be updated every time I do every time I have kids turn in an assignment. I'm not going to have a brand new grade and a brand new column for that assignment. Instead, I have multiple assessments that give me information about how students are doing with each one of these different learning targets. So if I pull up the score inspector quick, and see how I keep track of that information. I just have everything in the comments right now. Other teachers use additional columns, additional assignments that don't get figured into the final score and don't get published. I just like to have everything visible on one screen for a whole unit. I find that useful. So when I give an assessment, I go into the comments and I pre-populate these comments with just some blank spaces for me to write in. The first assessment that I did, actually I gave the assessment today, was called Skydiver Narrative. And then I'll just put in the student's score here. Let's say they got an M on it. I use the letter scale of Master for the highest level, Expert for the next level down, Practitioner for the third one down, and then the bottom level would be Novice. Other people use the meets, needs, exceeds, or developing, secure, those kinds of things. So there are a number of different systems that you could use here. I'll show you how to set up the letters in just a minute as well. The next time I do an assessment on this, or whatever the other assessment is, maybe that student gets an M again, and then another M, and they've consistently gotten that M, so I look at that and say, okay, well, overall they must be at an M for this, and that's the point where I go in and I put it was already in here, but I put the M for the overall score in, and then when I close it, this grade gets updated. That's going to be a percentage and a letter grade. This grade book I have set up with a few different mock assignments, or mock learning goals rather. So you can see that we get some different grades, although that's not actually showing. Hang on just a second. Okay. Try and maintain my my students' privacy, even though it's a blank grade book at this point. So, all right, looks like I just cleared everything out, but if I just put a few letter grades in here quickly, you can see that there is still some calculation that's going on to get a number and to get a letter grade there. I have this set up so that every time I put in an M, it's going to treat that as a 100%. This is a 5-point assignment, so that M gets treated as a 5 out of 5. Expert level I have as a 90%, so that'd be treated like a 4.5 going in there. Practitioner is a 75%, and Novice is a 50% the way I have it set up right now. And then those just get averaged together. Another thing I do with my gradebook, down here in the categories section, I don't have categories like homework, lab, test, I have my categories just as units. And that really does a nice job of helping me to group these assignments together. It also lets me use the filter command here. So let's say I just want to take a look at the things that I did in the first kinematics unit and how my students were doing that. I can filter so it only shows the kinematic stuff. Right now that's all that's in the gradebook, but it'll be more useful as we go further on. I also have it set up as a weighted grade system so that each one of these units is weighted equally, so they each affect the overall grade the same amount. Now all that stuff gets set up in the preferences section here. And we don't need to save. And at this point I think I can move my little privacy things out of the way for a minute. There we go. So the first thing I do is in the comment bank. If you haven't used this before, this is a really quick way to add a comment that you use multiple times. So the one that I use repeatedly here is just that one that leaves me some blank spaces for what the kid did on the first assessment, the second assessment, the third assessment, and so on. There are some smart text features, like you could put in the kid's name and he or she, but I don't have a lot of use for that at this point. So I use this comment again and again, so I set it up in the comment bank. I'll show you how to add that comment from the comment bank in just a minute. The other big things that I do here are in the score codes tab here. So this is where I set up my abbreviations and their meanings, and then how they're treated for grade calculations, what we do for the percentages there. So when you add a new one, you'll get this menu. So it asks you to put in a code. That's going to be what you type into the grade program. The description, that has to be fairly short, so think of a succinct description there. And then the value for it. And I just stick with the percentage amount for this. I think there are some other options, but the percentage amount seems to work pretty well for this. So for mine, a master, I abbreviate M, and that's worth 100%. There is a tab here for standards. If your school isn't set up for standards-based grading, then this probably won't actually do anything. This is something that has to be set up at the district level, unfortunately. So it may seem like you've stumbled on a treasure trove there, but it probably isn't going to do much for you if you're in the same situation I am. Alright, and then the last thing I wanted to show you was that that process of adding those comments. And I'm going to pull up my score inspector by doing Control-Shift-I is the shortcut for that. If you haven't seen already, in the Help menu, the Quick Entry Tips, that has all the different shortcuts on it. What I'm going to do for that comment thing, actually I guess that isn't even the right section, rather. I want, instead of Score Inspector, I want to do the Fill Scores here. Okay, and then I'm just going to indicate that I want to have a comment. It actually has this populated already, so we'll just delete that, pretend that it's not there. So I'll indicate that I want all the assignments in that column to have a comment, and then the comment I want to use is this one from my comment bank. And then OK, and mine was already done, but at this point they would populate all of these different columns with that same comment. So that's the bulk of what I do with these. I'm happy to answer questions. You could comment on the video and I can get back to you, or send me an email. Or if this is somebody who's in my building checking this out, by all means stop by and let me know. Hopefully you found this helpful. Thanks. Bye.